Hi guys, welcome back to the Rad Hyrox podcast. Today we are joined by Ollie Russell. He's an athlete and coach with a big hybrid focus to his training. He's done quite a few Hyrox races, and most recently, I was thinking about him this morning when we were in the gym and we were doing a workout with burpees. But most recently, he's just done the burpee broad jump 48-hour world record attempt. So we had to get him on, and I think I just need to pass over, to be honest. So thank you. Thanks for making the time to join us, because I'm sure you'd rather be sleeping.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm definitely not doing burpee broad jumps anymore. So yeah, that can be left to you guys now. But yeah, no, appreciate it and looking forward to chatting all about it.
Yeah, we can't wait to delve into it. I can't think of anyone as crazy to think of a challenge like that. But before we talk all about the 48-hour challenge and all the burpees, to give our listeners a bit of context, could you talk a little bit about your background and where you're at in sport? You're not just someone that's decided to turn up. You've not done anything and then you've done 48 hours of burpees.
Yeah, I didn't just come alive into the fitness stuff and just be like, I love burpee broad jumps. This is wow. So I came from like a rugby and athletics background and really pursued that when I was like 15, 16. Went on to push the rugby a little bit more, signing for Leicester Tigers on an academy contract. Moved over there when I was quite young and was really pursuing like a rugby career. Started to find that I just loved like all the gym stuff, all that kind of scene. Every kind of pre-season, I was like, just had a smile on my face, and everyone thought I was absolutely mad because that's when all the fitness tests are, and that's kind of where I kind of started to enjoy myself. So after the academy contract, I came out of that, kind of was a bit lost, not too sure where to go. I actually ended up applying for the Royal Marines, went through they have like a PRMC, which is like a 3-day interview. It's more like a 3-day just battering of just like physical endurance and stuff. But got medically discharged when I actually went into training. And to be honest, it was a bit of a it was a good thing that I didn't go in, because I don't think that was really the route for me. I've got a lot of friends who are now in, and a lot of respect for them through what they go through, but the mental side of it was just I actually wasn't there with it just then. Loved the physical, it was more the mental side that I didn't have, would you believe? So
I know.
yeah, I ended up coming out of that, and then I actually started getting into the fitness industry. I was like, I just need to try and get into this however I can. Started PTing, did my CrossFit levels, went over to CrossFit Solihull, and picked up a PT job, which was just around the corner, because that was more of just hobby coaching. Really enjoyed CrossFit. And then the Hyrox guys just came around to our gym and just held the, is it the Hyrox PFT?
Oh yeah, do they still do those? I've not seen very many. Maybe more gyms doing sims now.
I don't know if they still do them, but they came around to our gym on a Saturday morning, and I just saw that it was like this kind of workout that I usually did quite well in CrossFit, which was just the grunt workouts and just moving heavy stuff from A to B and just run over there for a bit and run back. And they just said they didn't say to me or any of the guys doing it, they said to our owner, Paul Witham, at the CrossFit box, and just said, oh, no one's really going to get around this time. Like, this is like the elite pro standard. And they might have said, I don't know, 18 minutes or something like that. And then I went under it by like 2 minutes. And they were like, they just came over and said, you need to sign up to Birmingham. So this was now, I want to say it might have been the first Birmingham one they held.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it might have been like 3 years ago now, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah.
When it was like, I don't know, 400 people, 600 people were there. And now it's like, I don't know, 5,000 or something ridiculous. So
crazy.
I went to that very first one in Birmingham, and not a clue what was going to happen. Just went for the pro one, and I didn't know what waves were going off, who you were running with. I just kind of went absolutely just so hot out the gate because I didn't know how to pace anything. And I remember thinking, I'm a rugby player. Like, when I get to these sleds, I'm just going to just nail it. And I remember there's a video, if I can try and find, I'll have to send it over to you guys if I can get it. I do one length and I sprint with it. I just went absolutely like just head down, sprinted with it, overtook all these people, and the cameraman came flying over. He's like, "Oh God, let's get this guy like flipping out." But then the marshal came over. He said, "Oh mate, really good work. You've got 3 more lengths." And I thought it was like just there, and I just my whole world just came crashing down. And I think a lot of people probably know the feeling of cramp in your quads, and it was just from there I had cramp all the way through the race, which was very enjoyable for my mates watching. But managed to dig it out, and I won my age group. And then they said, "You've got a place in Las Vegas." I was like, "What? Where's that come from?" Me thinking like I get to go to Las Vegas, and then no, you've got to pay for it. You've got to get yourself over there. So that was fun, and I went over to Vegas. I actually came second in my in the age group over there, but the standard from when it was over there to now, I think I came second in those world champs with like 68 minutes in the under 24, and now guys are all like the 61, 60 under. So I mean the standards changed massively, but yeah, that I think the Hyrox came around, really enjoyed it, and I just started really enjoying like the endurance stuff. So I started looking into the ultra marathons, the Ironmans, and I've done a couple Ironmans now, 1 full distance, 2 half. Done a couple like off trail ones, multi-stage ultra races over in the Scottish Highlands, and yeah, just kind of really enjoyed that side of things. And then all of a sudden I'm doing 48 hours of burpee broad jumps.
That's crazy. A very varied background, but also I guess like varied where it's helped you with like you've learned quite a lot along the way. Because how do you balance? You've said you've done Ironmans and you've obviously done Hyrox, and you're strong, but you're also fast at running. How do you balance your training? Like what's your like what would be an average week for you just to be able to do this hybrid style training?
I think what's helped with that, I did a pentathlon when I was younger in athletics. So you did all the events. So at the age of under 15s, I was doing shot put, high jump, hurdles, 800 meters, and I had to train for all of that still. So I think just from a young age, I've been training in like the strength stuff and the endurance stuff. So it's kind of like carried on into now. But I think the number of Hyroxes I've done now is like 12 or 13. And I was just doing the men's pro, and then started actually enjoying the mixed pairs, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy the pairs ones, and done a couple relays now. But training wise, it depends what like the priority is. I'll always try and train like swim, bike, run, CrossFit sessions and stuff like that. And then people go, "Oh, that's loads," but I don't do loads of it. I'm just trying to get maybe 3 CrossFit sessions in, 1 swim, 1 bike, a couple runs, and that's it. And if I know I'm going into something that I want to really push, I'll try and give it like a good 12-week focus where I can go like, right, I'm going to go real specific into this. So say if it's a Hyrox, I'll start cutting out the swimming if I need to. I'll start improving a bit more on the running side of things. And then as I get really close, I'll do real Hyrox specific conditioning. And so I don't lose the other stuff, because I enjoy doing it all. If you want to push one thing, then you obviously just go for that. But my kind of way of hybrid has just been like, why not do absolutely everything? The swimming, biking, running. And it kind of helps with my coaching, because if I get somebody come on and say, "Oh, I want to do a marathon swim or a swim run ultra or something like that," I can go, "Oh, I've actually done that." So I kind of know how to train for it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think we're exactly the same. We've kind of dabbled in a bit of everything and enjoy everything. And then, like you say, for coaching people, it's good to have the experience of doing that event to then be able to coach someone, because you know how it feels, and like what it requires, and it crosses over well to Hyrox. I think like Hyrox is an endurance sport, really. Like it lasts for, so it's not like a 10-20 minute workout. Like it lasts for most people between an hour and 2 hours, so you are keeping going for a long time. But I want to ask, was Burpee's your favorite station, or is this just
No, that's a good question, and a lot of people have asked the same. So I was recently over in Stuttgart doing the relay with the Red On guys. So I was over there with Liam, Gaz, and Dan Noter. So Dan Noter won. I think he won his age group in the men's open. Did really well. Ran like 58 or 57, if I can remember rightly. And then a guy called Liam and Gaz did the pairs, but I think on the same day you had Michael Sandbach and Tim doing it. So it was like, okay,
yeah,
you're probably turning up for second or third place there.
yeah.
So
it's a good way to like measure yourself and see how it goes against the
yeah, it's
guy,
good
really.
fun. I've raced quite a few of them, and they're impressive. Graham was out there, and when I saw him, we got chatting, and then I was like, oh, I can't come out here. I was just doing the relay originally, and I ended up buying a ticket for the men's pro about 5 hours before it. And
wow.
I just was like, that's me. I just get FOMO, and I think, oh, what the heck, why not? So when I did that out there, and what did I do? I was about 20 seconds off my PR, which I think my PR is 61 and a half in the men's pro, and I was just under 62 minutes. So I was like, you know what? I was quite happy with that. But
that is impressive. Yeah.
But yeah,
sometimes it's like you don't have the pressure on you. If you just went and got it and you probably just thought, oh well, I've only just signed up. And sometimes I guess you keep your fitness like all year round as well. It sounds like you keep a pretty good level of fitness. You don't tend to like have an off. I don't know, some people that train specifically for one sport, like you do your Ironman, for example, and then maybe have an off season and then build up to your next Ironman or your Hyrox. But it sounds like because you're picking and choosing different events, you're probably just changing the modality of training and what you're training for. So you've probably got a good level of fitness all year round to just jump in for something.
Yeah, exactly. And like I actually do quite well off like not much training. Like I know loads of people. Charlie trains like an absolute animal, and he can do that. I think if I tried to train like him, I'd be in A&E. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him. I've noticed a massive difference from when I was like 18, 19 to like now 26. Like it doesn't sound long, but there is still quite a big difference. So when I talk to my guys who I coach, training in your 20s is different to your 30s, it's different to your 40s, it's different to your 50s, and you have to like kind of adapt to it. I know if I start picking up too much running mileage above, I think even if I started going above 60, 70 kilometers a week, my foot, my knees would just start not being so happy. So that's where I started really enjoying getting out on the bike, especially in the summer, because you can get on the bike for 4 to 5 hours. We've got the Cotswolds, which isn't too far from us. So we get to go have a real good blast over there. And I feel like that's really like helped improve like my aerobic fitness. But also when I go start running again, if you can go hit like a big bike ride like that and do a brick session as well, potentially, like, I think the Ironman stuff, a lot of triathletes have maybe come over to this Hyrox and thought, oh, we can do quite well at this. So it's an interesting one because I've come from the rugby stuff, and where I start to do well, I think everyone's like, oh, you got to run. And I did that. I trained so much on the running. I got to the sleds and I was like a sack of potatoes. And I was thinking, this is meant to be like my bread and butter. Like I was playing rugby. We did so much strength work. So then I kind of went, right, stop running so much, do a bit more strength. And I've kind of found my peace with, I'm not going to be the fastest runner in the Hyrox, but I think I can try and be in like the top 5 on the stations in most of the events. And that's kind of where I'm at the minute. I think I could be faster at the running. But like you say, it's what you train for. And if you're trying to do other stuff as well with cycling events, Ironmans and stuff like that, and you're just enjoying it to try and get PBs each time, then it's okay. I think there was a point where I spoke to some of the like Charlie and Trav, who've done so well recently that I would love to have pushed for like the elite 15, but the standard is ridiculous now. It's absolutely ridiculous. I just remember in Stuttgart them just running off, and I thought that's like a max out effort 1 kilometer for me. I was like, I'm not going to go run that.
Yeah, and you've got to find what works for you and what you enjoy the most. I think like even you saying then, getting out on the bike in the summer, like it's ace training, but you also really enjoy it, and it like adds that variety, because like that's the training that you need, is the stuff that you're gonna get out and do. If you're like, oh, I don't want to do it, or oh, I don't enjoy it, or oh, I've got to go for another run, like then that's what puts the barriers in place. Like whereas if you're having the variety and you actually enjoy getting out on your bike, and it means that you stay for an extra couple hours and do a 4-hour ride, like perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the best training program is the one you're going to stick to.
Yeah,
so you find
100%.
the one that you enjoy the most, and then you that's the one you're going to get the most effectiveness from. So I know for me, I like being outside. I love being outside. If I'm running, I don't want to run on the roads. I want to be on trail runs. Like I don't live near many trails, so I have to drive to them, and I'm happy to do that.
yeah.
So yeah, getting out on the bike is absolutely ace. Like getting over to the Cotswolds, and there's some awesome climbs over there as well. So so yeah, that's one thing that's probably come into play a lot more in the last like couple years is cycling.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Hunter's a big advocate, isn't he? He's always like advocating cycling and triathlon type training. But so moving to the burpee challenge, how the hell do you, firstly, where did the idea come from? And then sticking on the training chat, how the hell do you train to do 48 hours of burpee broad jumps and enjoy it?
I can tell you how not to train. I can tell you how not to train for it, definitely. But well, so I think at the back end of last year, I won't go too long story on this. A good friend of my dad's, he got diagnosed with MND, a guy called Matt Gallagher, and when we heard the news, they're all like in the rugby community, and it kind of like sent waves around like everyone, especially in this area. And I didn't know Matt too well, but from when I met him, so long story short, my dad passed from cancer about 6 years ago. So whenever I'd go meet up with my dad's old rugby pals, Matt Gallagher would come over every single time. I didn't really know him that well, but he would always say, if you need anything, like let me know. Like if you want to get back into the rugby and have a trial somewhere, just let me know, I can get you in. And I kind of think loads of people say this, loads of people like, I'm there for you. And it's nice them saying that. But then all the rugby lads would come around and say, he means that, like he's a genuine guy. And it was just every time he said that. So me and my younger brother last year were kind of just throwing around ideas. Like everyone was doing some crazy things. Russ Cook ran Africa. I watched that so closely, and I thought, this is absolutely crazy. Like
Unreal.
how can someone do that? And very inspiring. I love watching Ross Edgley and just how he holds himself in these kind of challenges, and some of the things that he's gone and done. And I was thinking, I want to do something, like I really want to test myself and go for something that someone's not done, but do like a weird, wacky challenge where some people don't actually have a clue what it is. And my younger brother was just like name rolling so many different things, and then he said like a burpee broad jump marathon. He was saying things like a handstand marathon, or I don't know, ridiculous things. That's what happens in our house. We just have a bit of banter with it. But the burpee broad jump marathon, he said, was the most savage one, he said, and I was a bit like, that's ridiculous. Like I don't actually think like that could actually be done, or if it could be done, it would take a really long time. So then it kind of like sat on my head. I started researching, and I was like, has anyone actually gone and done like a burpee broad jump marathon, or however far they've done, any records, like what is there? There's quite a big fitness influencer in America. I don't want to butcher this. His name's like Devon something, and he's bear crawled a marathon. And I watched that on YouTube, and that looked horrendous. But he did it, and he trained seriously hard for it. And I thought, God, that's probably the closest thing to this, the burpee broad jump marathon, which originally we were like, let's go for this. So I shot the idea to Matt and his foundation, and I said, I want to do something, and I feel like I can give it a good crack. And he was like, you're going to kill yourself. And I was like, I'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be okay. And we just met up a few times. His whole family have got really into the foundation as well. So it's something they can all really focus on. So we've had some amazing meetings, like catching up for coffee with them and just really talking about life and just having a good laugh, talking about some old times and stuff. So as it kind of like started rolling, we're like, okay, are we going to just set a date just so we've got a bit of a date and we can start to like fill in the gaps? And I was like, right, I'm just going to go to the gym and just do an hour of burpee broad jump, see what happens. And then I went, did it. I was okay. So then I was like, right, I'll go do 90 minutes. And I was okay. And then I did 2 hours. I was like, okay, I'm still moving and I'm not broken. So shot it to a few other people and I said, right, we're going to do this. I think it's going to be a burpee broad jump and marathon. That was the original thing. And I was like, we might as well get Guinness records involved and message them to see like, right, is this a new record? Has anyone actually done anything of this caliber? And they came back and said they actually do it over time domains. So there's lots of different records, but it's been either done over like the fastest minute or like Travis. I don't know if you even know Travis, but he did the mile on the track literally a few weeks before. But they don't do a marathon. They said we do it on time, and they gave us all these different times. And I think originally we thought a burpee broad jump marathon would take 60 to 70 hours. I'm here to say it would take way more than that because it was. I think once you get past a certain point, it's so slow. Your heart rate doesn't really your heart rate goes up if you even pick up the pace like just like by a fraction. So it's a really weird exercise to do in zone 2 and try and keep your heart rate down because you're jumping up and down. So where was I going with that? So they came back and said you can either do 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, a month, and those are our time frames. And I said I really don't want to do a month. And then I said to the guys in the group chat, I don't think anyone wants to do a week with me. So I said, right, 48 hours. I thought that's doable, as in like the logistics as well, because you've got to have a camera crew, you've got to have like all this stuff. And I think with maybe some of these guys who are fitness influencers, they've got a lot of like financial backing behind them. I was funding like all of this myself. The amount I spent on like gels and like the snacks for the event is just absolutely crazy. And I didn't want the charity to start going, oh, we'll help you. I was like, I want all of that to go towards the charity. I don't want anything towards like the actual running of the event. But Matt was quite, he was more like, this is about awareness. It's not actually necessarily about the funding. It's about the awareness, so people actually know what M&D is, because I don't think many people knew what it was until Rob Burrow, who's passed away now unfortunately, and until he got M&D and a couple other big rugby players, and it's I think it's just and Kevin Sinfield doing all the crazy challenges, and I think that really put the M&D community on the map, because I didn't know what it was, and I knew I wanted to do something big for a charity. And I felt like I've witnessed both parents going through cancer, and I know cancer is such a, I don't want to say popular because that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it's such a big disease that so many people know about. Like,
I know what you mean. I think there's more people aware of that, and it's more prevalent in even like the media and, you know, on shows like Stand Up to Cancer, and there's I think a lot more maybe around it. Whereas like M&D is like, it's growing, like the awareness, but maybe not at the rate as what the awareness for like cancer charities or like cancer research and Macmillan are maybe not, like they're a bit bigger than M&D.
Completely. So I've actually not done a charity event for cancer, because I was like, I know what my dad would be saying. He's like, don't be silly. Don't do this for like the cancer research. Do this for the charities that don't really have a voice. So I don't know if you guys remember, there was a young boy called Arthur Lumbinjo Hughes. I think I've pronounced his name right. It's a horrible story. He got abused by his parents, and he ended up getting killed. And he only lived like a stone's throw away from our gym. in
Oh,
Solihull.
God.
And we when we got hold of this story, I was like, right, we've got to do something. There's some sort of charity that is like out there for kids and abuse, and like let's try and figure it out. And it was the NSPCC. So about, I think maybe 2-3 years ago. Do you know all the women workouts in CrossFit?
Yeah, like
They're all
Fran and all that.
That's
stuff.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So we did every single workout within 12 hours, and we went, right, we're doing a 12-hour workout challenge. We're going to do all the CrossFit workout, the famous workout WODs, and crack it in 12 hours. But what happened was the NSPCC, we hadn't had our charity t-shirts come through. So, and we raised loads of money, and it was great. It was just I think it was just before Christmas. And that would, if we're talking about event wise, that was quite similar to the burpee broad jump, as in like the aches and the pains, because without you knowing, you end up doing over 1,000 pull-ups or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So around your elbow joint was just like, I mean, we're halfway through and all our elbows are completely gone. And that's what happened on the burpee broad jump. It was my elbows. But our t-shirts hadn't come through. So then when they came through, I was like, I've got to do something in this NSPCC top. So I just
Did you
went,
do a CrossFit workout in a t-shirt anyway? I didn't.
You don't wear t-shirts anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. Just like Hyrox.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Bodies everywhere. So then he was 6 years old, and I went, right, okay, I'm going to run 6 marathons back to back. Very naively and stupidly said. And I remember getting to the 3rd marathon. I'm working at the same time, and I think I started at about 10 o'clock at night, the 3rd one.
Oh God.
This was now like, we're in winter, it's freezing. And why I do these kind of challenges is you kind of go through all these emotions, and there's one bit now just round the corner from me. Every time I go past it, I just remember this moment on this 3rd marathon. It's like raining, it's pitch black, no one's outside, and I just started crying. Then I was laughing. Then I just was crying again. Then I was laughing. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm going absolutely crazy here. And I just kept going in and out of thinking about like this young lad, and thinking about like, right, we can try and like make a bit of a difference here for this charity. So yeah, that was a cool event where we raised money for the NSPCC. But yeah, that's kind of, I went from wanting to push like professional sport to, after witnessing like, you know, close family members going through like such like harsh reality, I was like, I didn't want to do that anymore. I kind of was like thinking, okay, that's almost not selfish, but it's for your personal endeavor, isn't it? And I thought, well, actually I can still get the same fulfillment and raise awareness, raise funds for some incredible charities. So anyway, that's where this 48-hour challenge kind of just hit off, and we just started filling in the gaps.
Oh
Yeah.
that's nice.
I think we can relate quite a bit. My dad died of motor neurons disease, so I relate to what you're saying a lot. And we've done some challenges, and I guess like we did a big challenge. We did back-to-back marathons actually to raise money for MND, and for Em's mum died of cancer, so we kind of did both. And the one thing that got me through on the days I found really hard, a bit like I can relate to what you're saying about crying and then going a bit crazy and being out, and was just thinking about how much like my dad went through and how much pain he was in. And we both were saying like, we chose to do this, and we can finish a marathon. Once we finish, we'll be fine. But there's some people that don't have a choice, and they have to push through, and they are strong. And you do watch, it does change your outlook on what you do, and definitely gives you, I don't know whether it's like a different type of mental strength or something to push through, but you see a different side to something that helps you when the going gets tough, I think. So
Yeah,
definitely
completely
relate to what you say there.
Yeah, I didn't know that about you too. So I'm sorry. That's
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone goes through it. We can see, can't we? There's 3 of us here, and we've all had a similar experience. But it's weird how we've all channeled it into a similar thing.
Yeah. It's
which is a
actually
good way
quite powerful, isn't it? When
Mm.
you get to meet people who have been through similar things. There's not one story that's exactly the same, but there's like lots of stories that you can relate to. And
Yeah, totally.
like over the weekend, I put up a post yesterday just kind of going through the thought process, and I think people have called me mad and things like that, and it's been quite cringy being called like a hero and a legend and things like that, and it's lovely for people to say, but that's not why I'm doing it. I was doing it because like I got to have my dad's rugby pals who would come down, and some of them I've not met before, and they go, "Oh, I used to play rugby with your old man." And it would just like hit home, and I thought that's incredible, and I got to connect and chat to so many different people, and I think the most like the nicest thing, that one of the guys that I met over the weekend, he had an accident where he was in a wheelchair, and he's slowly kind of trying to build up his walking again, and he's in crutches, and he's still got some things on his legs where it's helping him with his walking abilities. And he just put up on social media, like, you know, this guy was 30 hours in to a burpee broad jump challenge, and then he just had a smile on his face, and he just came over and spoke to me, and we had a quick chat, and he said he wasn't moaning about anything. And that's what I took. I was like, even if I didn't finish the 48 hours, I knew I was going to, but that I get more pride from that than a podium in a Hyrox or something like that, which back when I was playing like rugby and that kind of stuff, that's all that mattered to me. It was just to try and get like medals and win and get records and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of like where I've shifted, and I'm guess with you too, it's where kind of your mindset's at with doing back-to-back marathons and doing hard things, because it's weirdly enjoyable, and you get to have this like euphoric experience where I think you have to push yourself harder each time to get them to jump onto your shoulder and just like have them like right there. Because sometimes I've done hard things and it's just not come, and I've maybe tried to look for it a bit too much, but then it comes at the moments where you're like, oh my god, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I think you don't realize the effect you have on other people as well. Like, you know, you kind of, because you've got your reasons for doing it, like, and you're like doing it for you and to like raise awareness, and like you've got your motives to carry on, like, but you don't realize, like you said about that there, like the effect it had on the gentleman for him to like think, oh yeah, well I can carry on, you know, like. And we had similar, like we would put up an Instagram story every morning, and I think just people seeing you go out and put your trainers on and get running again, they're like, oh well, if they can go out and have a smile on their face and do a funny little Instagram story about how they're eating a sandwich whilst they're running or whatever it is, like, then oh yeah, that'll make me get out the door and go and do my train and run today, or oh yeah, that'll make me keep going and keep fighting. And like you don't realize the wider impact that you doing something has, I don't think, until maybe the end, when people come back and say, and it was like the same as us.
Oh yeah, totally. I didn't get, to be honest, during all of it, people have asked like, I bet you went to some real dark places. I was like, no, like not at all. Genuinely, there were so many people there throughout the whole of the 48 hours. We were just laughing the whole way. I did go through some moments where I felt sick because I was just jumping up and down for so long, and I couldn't get food down. Then about just before, around 20 hours in, my elbows were well and truly on their way. They were well. Is
that just from the lowering, or is it from the pushing back up? Like
it was both. So it was coming down to the floor. So I was pretty much like headbutting the floor towards.
Yeah, just letting yourself go.
And then I was kind of like, I was trying to not make it into like a push-up. I was trying to just like extend my back to try and just get up as high as I could, to actually get myself back up off the floor. But I've come out the back end of it. Like I thought I was going to be a lot worse. I've come out a lot better than I thought it was. But I think that's due to, originally they set a ridiculous target of like 30 kilometers for the 48 hours. I knew straight away, I was like, that's not going to be done. But I was like, right, I'm just going to go do what I can. Because I did, my biggest training session leading into it was 5 kilometers of burpee broad jumps. and that was horrendous. Like, I remember doing that, and it took me 7.5 hours. I kind of was on my own, and some of the lads came down and helped. I did not enjoy one bit of that, and I thought, oh my god, this is going to be awful. Like, I actually came back and I thought, I've bitten off more than I can chew here. I said to my girlfriend, I thought my wrists were in so much pain.
I was gonna say, were the elbows sore after the
Anno-
7.5 hours?
that was the annoying thing. Each time I did like a long burpee broad jump session, it was something different. Something different hurt.
Oh.
So I
And
could.
oh no, go on. Sorry.
I just couldn't like. I didn't know what was going to go. I kind of knew after 12 hours something's going to start aching. My wrists were fine. My neck, I got told, was going to go, but that was fine. It was while I was doing the burpee broad jump, I was just trying to make sure I wasn't going off at a ridiculous pace. I was like thinking, right, what this first hour, I don't want to affect hour 47. I was just thinking about that the whole time. So I thought, right, just be really efficient. How can I make this the least painful? So every time I'd go down into the burpee, I wouldn't look up with my head like that. I'd try and keep my head kind of like neutral. So I was literally like forehead resting on the ground so I could relax my neck. I was trying to just like relax my hand so I could push off my like the bottom of my hand so I didn't like, extend it too much or flex it too much. And then yeah, that was just the thing going through my head. I was just trying to stay as efficient as possible.
I mean, a burpee broad jump is a difficult move to do efficiently on repeat. Like, it's hard enough for people to do.
Once you get tired.
Yeah, like, you start off like relatively well, but as soon as like you start to tire, I think everything just goes a bit to pot. Like,
yeah, but that was why the 5 kilometers when I did that, that got very that got dark, and I just was on my own. But because I had so many people around on this, it just was banter flying around for 48 hours, and it was actually a good laugh. And then I got emotional towards the end, which I didn't think was going to happen because I thought, oh, this isn't actually too bad. I'm getting to meet loads of people. I don't know if you saw the video, but the kids at the end, there was a massive mini and juniors rugby festival going on. And they were thinking, what the hell's going on over here? And all these kids have travelled from all over the Midlands to come to like South Birmingham to play some rugby. And one of the lads didn't play a single game. He just was doing burpee broad jumps with me.
No way.
Yeah, he proper showing me up as well. He's doing
like so
10
springy.
Yeah, he did like 10 laps. I thought, my God, I'm looking bad.
And was there a reason? Did you do it at the rugby club and on grass because it was grass and it would give you like it would be less harsh than like say a running track, for example, like that Travis did his mile on? Or was it because of the like situational and you wanted to be at the rugby club because of like everything you were trying to raise awareness of? And
yeah, I think both of them really. So originally I've always wanted to do something like in memory of my dad, and he's got a bench up there, which was on the second team pitch where I played most of my rugby, like real young rugby over there, and he was like our coach as well. So he's got a bench up there. That's why I'd go sit up there on a Sunday just on my own, and it's very peaceful. And I just that was my thinking time. And then just doing the burpee broad jumps, I thought, it'd be nice to do it up there. And I said to Matt, because he was good friends with my dad back in the day, and he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, let's do it at the rugby pitch where, his bench is there. So we ended up moving the bench from the second team pitch just because the logistics was crazy, and moved it to the first team pitch just behind the dead ball line. Okay. So it made my square a lot smaller. So I was just going around and around so much, and I've ruined the back of the pitch. There's just like marks, just Ollie prints like all the way around. And some people were like, "My God, like that is ridiculous." And it's almost like a dirt track now.
Yeah. Was there a groundsman there watching? Hopefully not.
He was at the start, and then I think he just didn't want to see any of it towards the end. I was like, I'm so sorry. So yeah, the meaning of doing it was mainly for that. But I heard people who had done these kind of challenges on like on track or concrete, and they lose like the nerve endings in their hands.
Oh,
for
really?
like a few months before it comes back. And yeah, I had none of that. We had a massive rainfall over here like 2 days before, so it just made it proper squidgy, really, the ground.
Which like must have been harder for the actual broad jump to cover the distance, because obviously you're gonna sink, and then if it's slippy and
Yeah,
not as
you know
easy
what?
to get the distance, is it?
Yeah, there's so many different things where you could go, oh, it would have been easier if it was like that, but then that would have made this bit harder. But then,
Yeah.
oh, but if that bit was easier, then it would have made that bit harder. So I think I've always kind of been in this mindset where I'm ready for things to go wrong. And I said to everyone in the group chat before, like even recording it, the food side of things, I've done all these ultras before where like things go wrong. One of the ultras I did up in the Highlands, I had all my water in my bag, and it's a hot day. There's another 20 kilometers to the next aid station, and for all of a sudden I was just soaking wet. I thought it's not raining. I chewed my camelback that hard that I chewed it off, and it just came pissing out like right in front of me, and I'm just wet, like just coming all out, like 2 liters of water all gone. I've got no water left, all my electrolytes, just everything had gone. I thought, oh my god, what are the chances of that? And I just thought, well, no one's here to save me, like only I can get myself out of this situation. So I thought, well, if I just sit here and moan, that's just another 10 minutes in this sun. So I just thought, just get cracking, just get to that next aid station so you can get your
chop chop.
yeah, get a move on. So that I knew loads of things were going to go wrong. I started feeling like my gut was definitely more like a washing machine rather than being my normal gut. So I knew things were going to go wrong, and I think that's why you kind of do them. You want to see what happens when are you going to react poorly, or are you going to respond in a proper way? And that's all I look at it really. Is I was like, right, it's just literally one rep at a time. And especially when my elbows went, I was just thinking, right, I just need to get myself down onto the ground. That's all I thought. And then when I got down to the ground, I went, right, no, you got to stand up. And then I stood up and I was like, right, now you got to jump forward. And I just kept repeating that in my head for hours.
Simple but effective.
Exactly. Yeah. Simple but effective. It's not until you're in those moments that I guess you know what kind of skill set in your mind, like how can you start to just think about the process rather than the outcome. And I just went all in on like what was happening in the here and now. There's a couple moments your mind obviously goes off to thinking, especially going into Friday night, it dropped to like 3 degrees and it was freezing cold. I ended up doing the burpee broad jumps in one of those dry robes just because it was so cold. And then I thought, we've got another night of this. This is not going to be fun. But you kind of take yourself away from that. Think about what you're doing now. And then before you know it, the weekend's gone and we're on Thursday. I'm already starting the recovery process. So it's mad to think like the 48 hours it actually went weirdly quick.
Yeah.
And did you have a strategy going into it? I know like you changed to think of like one burpee at a time, and then you changed the burpee, you broke the burpee down. But did you going into it have a strategy where you thought, because obviously 48 hours, I'm guessing you had to sleep a little bit in that 48 hours, you had to eat, you had to go to the toilet, you maybe had some clothes change, like
yeah.
clothes.
So they were great. The Old Sills Rugby Club were awesome and gave us keys to the clubhouse so we could go jump in there if we needed to get warm. And then a lifesaver was also a family friend of ours brought their camper van up last minute and just said, do you want this? And I was thinking I was going to go through the 48 hours. In my head, I was like so naive. I was thinking, I can stay up for 48 hours. I can do that. I couldn't.
It's a long time. Like even 24 hours is like...
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think a 24-hour burpee broad jump is a completely different event to a 48-hour burpee broad jump. It's the same movement and it's still endurance, but if it's 24 hours, I think you can dog that out and go completely. When I say unbroken, like having your rest periods, like just grabbing a bit of fuel and then going again. But because I knew it was 48 hours and I knew there's going to be people around on the Sunday, like it was quite lonely up until Sunday where the last couple hours, there was just hundreds of people, like loads of people there. And I thought, I don't want to be not moving then. That's the time to be like, shining and trying to like keep moving. And the buckets are going around so that people are going to be donating. So I'm like, right, I want them to ask, like, what's going on over here? Someone's doing burpee broad jumps, but they're not going to ask that if I was sat on the bench doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No one's doing anything. So there was a bit of strategic naps going in. So Friday night, I think it was a couple hours we got in the end in intervals. So then Saturday was just a long, slow day. I just was doing burpee broad jumps, but they were just slow, and I just tried to keep moving. There was a rugby game on around midday. Some of my pals playing as well, so that was quite nice. And then as we went into the Saturday night, my plan was to just try and get up to, I think we said about 1 o'clock in the morning. Originally, I was like, right, let's try and get to there, and then let's go all get some kit, because even Jake, who was doing the media, who was absolutely fantastic, he slept the least out of all of us. And my girlfriend Jess, I just thought, this is getting a bit ridiculous. I don't want to, just because I'm doing this, I don't want to put you two into it as well. So I went, right, let's get to as late as we can before we start like freezing our tits off, and then let's try and get up around like just before sunrise, so we can get some good shots as well for sunrise, like for the charity, and be like, right, we're getting up, we're getting cracking. And then the temperature starts to rise. But as I got to about, I think it was 11:30, 12, I was thinking my elbows are just on the last string now. So we've got still so many hours to go. Do I want to push 30 minutes to an hour now and not be able to do any tomorrow? It was I said to the guys, I don't actually know what to do. But if we keep messing around with not knowing what to do, we're not going to make any decisions. And I'm quite like, let's just make a decision. So we just go do it. If it's wrong decision, then cool, it's the wrong decision. We respond correctly and crack on. So I just went, right, let me try and do another length, and then we'll go from there. Did another length. Elbows are not agreeing, so I went, right, let's all go get some sleep, and then we'll wake up tomorrow and see how my elbows are. Unfortunately, my elbows recovered through a 5-hour nap. So I was like, okay, they're starting to feel better. Went through an hour, and then they were slowly starting getting worse again. And I think just due to doing quite a few of these events, I know what's going to be a long-term injury and what's just going to be a short-term recovery, because they were just aching. I thought, it's just inflammation. There's no like real pinchy like stinging knifey kind of pain. It's like it was just aching like real bad. So, and they're already feeling loads better now, so it's just a bit of time.
Yeah, it's just like a repetitive strain, isn't it? Like tendonitis, like tennis elbow sort of thing. Probably completely to the extreme. Like but you do, I think, get in tune with your body, and you can kind of work out like, oh, this is like real pain, or this is like uncomfortable, but it's not like damaging pain. Like,
yeah, I think I would have rather have got the tennis elbow through playing tennis than...
Yeah, I feel like the extreme end of a tennis elbow is now like a burpee broad jump elbow. Not many people will experience that in their life, I don't think.
No, not at all.
I mean, you've probably made it a lot better for anyone listening that's about to go and do a Hyrox. And I feel like sometimes you just need like that mental like picture in your head. And I think if they can, go and see your Instagram and see you doing your burpee broad jumps for 48 hours, like then to go to the burpee broad jump station now and just get that gone. And like you said, just even, like you said, breaking it down, you might just help people now go like one burpee at a time, or even just get to the floor, get back up, do the jump. Like these little things like might help people move through that station, which, arguably is one of the stations that people really struggle with in Hyrox.
Yeah, it's an awful movement. It's like so bad. It's not a great movement, but I think if people, even in Hyrox, are starting to do maybe like toying with the idea of doing ultras and marathons and things like that, as soon as you start thinking about the finish line, you're done. Like you've not already lost, but in your mindset, you've kind of gone, when's the finish going to be? instead of going like, right, where's my foot strike? Am I overstriding or am I understriding? Am I relaxing my shoulders or are they pinched up to my ears? And as soon as you start thinking about the process and like the efficiency of the actual movement you're doing, time goes so much quicker. And I remember when I was training for the Ironman in New Zealand, we did a training camp out there, and the guy who was leading it has been to Kona, which is the world champs, like 10 times or something, and he's a real cool guy. And he gave me this I think it's an acronym like that I wrote on my hand, which was EDR, and it stands for two things, like efficiency, discipline, and rhythm. So every time I check my watch, like in an Ironman, you check it quite a lot, just to see what pace you're at, maybe your heart rate, and what time you're on. And you would see like these letters on your hand, like EDR. Oh, efficiency. Am I being efficient with what I'm doing right now? Am I being disciplined with maybe my pacing strategies? And am I in a rhythm? And it would just remind you, oh, okay, cool. Need to try and get back to the process. And then it also stands for, if you're doing like the long endurance stuff, eat, drink, relax. So
I like that.
Good.
So you got efficiency, discipline, and rhythm, and then eat, drink, relax. And it's just something that kind of like sat with me. And every time I go into like a big endurance event now, I would like, if I know it's one where I'm checking my pacing and stuff, I would write that down on my hand.
Oh, I've never heard that before like that. Yeah, it's so true as well. And it is just having those little things to like make your mind switch on. It's like, because you can kind of, in the endurance events, your mind kind of wanders off and you're not focusing, and then you're like, oh god, an hour's gone by and I've not eaten anything. I should have had like another gel by now, or whatever it is. Like if you've got that, just switch on, focus, like that reminder right there. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So like with the burpee broad jump, it was honestly like just laughing and having a joke, and it kind of just like, I think there are studies that have said like as soon as your effort is maybe like an 8 to 9 out of 10, as soon as you kind of like smile or make a joke, it reduces it down to like 6 to 7. I read a great book called Endure by Alex Hutchins.
Oh, I'm reading that.
Yeah, have you finished it yet?
No, I'm like kind of rereading bits of it because like it's quite in depth, isn't it? But like, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, go on, carry on.
He's a proper like endurance enthusiast, but you think it's just gonna be all about endurance, but a lot of it is about like the mental side of it as well.
Most of it, I'd say, in the actual book
completely, because with endurance, I think as soon as you see, he mentions in this book, as soon as you see the finish line, like most people sprint, don't they?
So you have got something else.
There's always something left in that, like that reserve tank that you originally said 20 minutes ago was completely empty and you're done. But then you see the finish line, you see everyone turn into Usain Bolt and they sprint. And you're thinking, where the hell has that come from?
And why didn't I use it earlier?
So there's always that thing in your head where it's like, is this a true maximum effort? And I remember so clearly a CrossFit workout that I'd just joined the CrossFit gym, and I was kind of known for this just like young lad who just went hell for leather from the start. I would like a 30-minute workout and I'd be sprinting. I just was trying to bury myself every single time. And it was when I was going through a bit of a tough time myself. So I just was trying to hurt myself. And I remember there was this one workout very clearly, and it was almost like, it was like an EMOM, and there was a bunch of some like real fit lads in there. And it's like, who can hang on the longest? It was like one of those kind of EMOMs. And I completely bottled it. And I remember going, and I think just from the heat of, like, I could feel the heat off these other lads. They were like down my neck, and I just pulled out. And I was so frustrated with myself because I just went, you completely bitched out there just because there was other people who were right on your heels. And I just say to myself, you didn't want the smoke. Like you didn't want the smoke. Your mindset was all off because you were thinking about something that just is out of your control. Like that's nothing to do with you. So I actually went back later that same day to do the same workout in the class, like later on. And I ended up like smashing it. And I thought, wow, that was a real big lesson to me, to think, every time I go into a workout that's meant to be hard, I do it to the exact stimulus it's meant to be done to, because I don't want to do it again. but then
Yeah.
you do it
You
again,
say
but
that.
because you get fitter, don't you? You
Yeah.
get fitter. So then you go, right, like now I've earned the right to go up and get fitter, instead of going, oh no, I don't earn the right to go and do a harder session. So it's actually, I forgot what I said this to George a while back, who runs Theta, the Theta clothing. It's enjoying the pain, but pain is a pleasure.
Yeah.
Because we get to do this. Like it's a pleasure to be able to feel the pain, because there's a lot of people who would wish like so much to have working legs and able body, all of this. And I'm, I'm like this now. Back before like my parents got diagnosed with cancer, I moaned. I know I moaned a lot. I still occasionally do. Like I think we all do. It's human error. But I'm actually very glad for all the hardship I've been through. I'm 26 years old. People think when they meet me, I'm like nearly 40. Maybe because I look like it as well, and I've got no hair left.
You definitely don't look like it.
I've
Maybe when you
aged,
finish your 48 hours of burpee board jumps, that might have aged just slightly.
I've probably aged a little bit after that. Yeah, some of my friends call me a grumpy old man occasionally, but I think I've just learned so much from even from someone like my grandma, who I did a post about on.
I was going to bring her up, yeah, because you did
Yeah,
it.
like
It
my
was so
grandma,
sweet.
who just doesn't moan at a single thing. And yeah, she's not like a fitness person and did all of that when she was younger. Sure, she played sport, but she just doesn't moan. And I think a lot of us, like this day and age, is we get called the snowflake generation, don't we? And I think it's quite unfair to say that, because the environment that people are putting the snowflake generation in, that's why they're snowflakes, because they're watching this out here going, oh, that's the way to be. But it's not their own fault. It's just the environment they've been put in. So the environment I've been put in through watching my mum and dad go through like life-threatening illnesses, that's allowed me to maybe not be a part of that snowflake generation, to go, oh, I want to push like my mental resilience, and I want to be hard. I want to, continue on that path. But I don't think if that would have happened, this me right now wouldn't happened of so soon. It probably would have been a bit later down the line. So that's me just trying to put a spin on the works and go, like, everything happens for a reason, but it also, you have to take positive out of absolutely everything, because as soon as you let's just start looking at all the negatives, then yeah, you're not going to perform. But as soon as you look at every single positive, yes, I would love to have my dad still here, but also it's turned me into this person who I am today. So I'm like, right, I've got to try and look at the light side of it and go, okay, he is still there. And I always think, like, when I'm on my own, that's when I want to be performing the most, and that's when I want to be so on it, because anyone can perform. When doing the burpee broad jumps, the last hour I picked up the pace, there's hundreds of people watching. It's easy. It's actually easy to do, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. But what I quite enjoy is doing the things where you don't post it on Instagram, you don't tell people what you're doing. Being a coach on Instagram, it obviously helps because it's building my business. But I think if I wasn't a coach and I didn't do the online coaching, I would like to say that I don't think I'd post about things. I think I'd try and do it under the radar, because I think it would settle my head of going, you are resilient, like you are doing this purely for yourself and not for financial gain or anything like that.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, and one of the things we say to some of our athletes is, like, if you choose a challenge, would you be happy if you didn't have it on Strava or have it on like, if you didn't tell anyone about it, would you still do that challenge? And if you would still do that challenge and go and do the training, you're doing it for the right reasons. But if you're always going to do it for external gratification or something like that, it makes it a lot harder when it gets tough to keep going, because if you don't get that result, or that those likes on Instagram, or people giving you like a thumbs up on Strava, then you don't, like, if that's what you're doing it for, you're going to find the whole thing a lot tougher than if you're doing it for the reasons that you've got. Yeah,
completely. I think it's training when you feel at your worst, like maybe mentally, and it's like, right, what are you like when no one's watching? And that, I think that's high performance.
Yeah, and that's what makes you grow, doesn't it? Definitely. Oh, amazing. Do we have time to ask you the cheeky insights questions? I don't want to keep you too long, but are you sure? We'll try and keep them quick fire. We've got 8 questions for you. The first one is, what trainers do you wear to race Hyrox?
I've been wearing I think they're called the Brooks Tempos, but I think I'm going to be changing because originally I got a really good grip with them on the sleds, and I just wanted to make sure I could move the sleds well. But seeing a lot of people getting on quite well with carbon plate like trainers, I think I'm probably going to shift to to maybe, is it the Saucony's, something like that. So
the endorphin proof.
Probably something like that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, next one. Which has been your favorite venue to race Hyrox in?
Probably Gdansk in Poland.
Okay,
I've had that a few times.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Vegas.
No, I would say Gdansk in Poland because everything just ran so smoothly. It wasn't busy as well. Just really nice. And I did it with Kirsty Keating, who has kind of, I think, become one of their like go-to girls for the Hyrox. And I met the guy who it's his, because they've franchised it, haven't they? And he came over, he was lovely. And we just had a really good race and everyone was just getting on really well.
Love it. Good answer. Okay, next is your favorite Hyrox station.
I'd probably say sled push.
Rugby, the rugby boy.
Yeah.
Not the Burpee broad jumps.
No, definitely not.
And if you could do a doubles Hyrox with anyone in the world, who would it be? It doesn't have to be a like fitness sport. I mean, it could be tactical. You could pick someone fast, or you could pick someone to have a laugh with, or a mate, or put you on the spot here.
God, yeah.
Have you done one with Charlie? The doubles with Charlie?
No, I've not done one. I did the relay with Charlie. We got I think we've got like the British record for it. So
yeah.
Oh wow.
This question always stumps people because they want to pick a good answer. It's like, do you go tactical? Do you go?
Yeah, that's it.
Or a famous rugby player? Is there a rugby player you look up?
Johnny Wilkinson.
God. There you go.
That'd be good.
Hero, my hero.
There you go. Next up, do you fuel for Hyrox? And if so, what do you take and when do you take it in the race?
So I used to take the gels during it, but since kind of doing the last few, I don't know. I'll just go grab the cups of water after most of the stations on the way out, and then leading into it, just making sure that I'm carb loading quite well going into it, so I can really focus more on the race rather than actually like being in the race and like trying to get fuel down me. Because I think when you're working at that intensity, I've had a couple of times where you're almost bringing it back up. So I thought, right, just make sure I'm fueled going into it. And that's kind of helped me.
Yeah, perfect. Different for everyone, isn't it? Like, what is your favorite type of training session for Hyrox? Like format, like a long run or a CrossFit-y session?
Probably a trail run, like a fell run, going off into the trails and saying like, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes, and then having some like big efforts on some hill sprints in there and getting dirty.
Yeah. It's always nice in the trails, isn't it? Just switch off. That's it. Get your session done. Yeah. Next one. Why should someone sign up for their first Hyrox?
The atmosphere, the community, a bit of fun. I think a lot of people think it's like really scary and they can't do it. It's far from that. Everyone's very, very respectful of each other for sure. And I think once you do it, it's like going on a roller coaster. You just want to go on and do it again. So yeah, it's just getting through that first one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then lastly, is there anyone that you would like to hear more about for us to interview on our podcast?
There's a guy called Joe Bingham who's also with the Theta lads, and I'll be you got to be watching him this season. He's running well. Yeah, he's a big lad as well. He's strong. I'd say I think he's close to running a sub 16 5K at the minute.
Oosh.
Yeah, sub 16, and he can squat like 100 kilos for 20 reps. He's a monster, an absolute, and he's a lovely guy as well. He's a lovely,
that's a good one.
Really down to earth. So yeah, Joe Bingham.
Oh, amazing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, happy days. So what's next, Ollie? Like what have you got planned? Have you got any other challenges? Have you got any Hyrox booked? You doing an Ironman?
I think I made the joke that we're going to do charity cake sales from now on.
Okay, that sounds good.
So I've got jumping in with one of my clients in Birmingham in the mixed pairs, going over to Poznan to go to, like Charlie's doing it over there. I might jump in. We're doing the relay. Might jump in and do another mixed one, but these are just going and having a bit of fun. So I'm just full recovery mode, to be honest, at the minute. Maybe try and like just wear the Matt Gallagher Foundation t-shirt these to try and raise a bit more awareness while the link's still live. But next year I've got Manchester Marathon, which I want to go push, and I've got the Great North Swim, which is a marathon swim over in Lake Windermere, and then probably start eyeing up some men's pros for next year. I need to get that sub 60. That's on my mind at the minute, so I'm not too far off it. But yeah, that's probably for next year.
Oh, amazing!
Awesome. And how long do you think it'll take you to recover from the burpees? I mean, it's been a few days, but what do you?
I think I think elbows wise is probably going to be the longest. I think it'll be a good month to 6 weeks where the elbows just are slowly getting better. But my watch keeps saying you're ready to train, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
if your watch says, then obviously you are. And where can people find the fundraising page? Is that on your Instagram? Where can people follow, donate? We can put links into the show notes, and we'll obviously share them on Instagram. But yeah, where can people follow you?
Yeah, awesome. So either through my Instagram, Russell Performance Training, and in my link, and it's in the box just right at the top as you click onto the first link in my bio, or you can follow the Matt Gallagher Foundation as well, and it will be all the stories as well through how he got diagnosed and things like that, and what they're actually doing for the M&D community, because their charity is going more down towards helping the families like fit in wet rooms in the houses. They've actually I think they put a lift into someone's house so they can get up and down. Amazing. Like, you know, they get the chance to put their kids to sleep and stuff like that. So it's just trying to make their families' lives a bit more high quality into these stages of MND. So yeah, either my page or the Matt Gallagher Foundation.
That's amazing. That's
absolutely important.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to following the rest of your year, and seeing how you get on breaking that sub 60 with the pro, maybe next year, maybe next season. You never know, you might do it this season.
And the cake sale, remember.
And the cake sales. We are all there for cakes. Whenever that's on, we'll make time to come. Thanks everyone for listening. Please, if you have listened and enjoyed this, if you could share it, tag Ollie, and if you can spare any money towards the fundraising page, even if it's just the cost of a coffee, that'll help a family that's going through a tough time with M&D. And obviously I think if you've done 48 hours of burpees, you deserve a couple of quid. So thank you very much, Ollie, and we will catch everyone on the next episode.